Hello, this is Ashee from Crafting with Ashee and welcome to this video. This is the card I have to share with you today. It's actually a stencil card using the layering stencils, and these are the Loveliest layer stencils from Stampin' Up that I've used to make this pretty card. And this one is a pink version, and the next one we're going to be using is going to be a more yellow version. So let's get started. So I've got a piece here of basic white cardstock that you'll see in a minute, and this measures 14.35 centimeters by 10 centimeters. And here are the Loveliest layers dies. There's 2 dies for the flowers and 2 dies for the leaves. So, as I said, my first one used Mango Melon Mambo Flirty Flamingo and Petal Pink. This one's going to use Mango Melody and Daffodil Delight and So Saffron. Unfortunately, Mango Melody and So Saffron are retiring. I didn't know that when I made this card, but this can be a last hurrah to some very beautiful colours that I'm very sad to say goodbye to. And here you can see me just masking my mask or stencil, and I've just put the mask where the stencil is near the edge, masking tape where the stencil is near the edge of the cardstock to stop my ink from going on the rest of my cardstock. And this is just post-it note tape that I've used to mask, and I'm just putting my first layer of colour down using my blending brushes, and this is just going to be my lightest colour, Daffodil Delight. So I'm just putting this down here, and you can see, and then close up that ink pad, remove our stencil and all our little masking tape, and there we have our first layer. And now we're going to put down our second layer, and everything just lines up really easily here. So you can just see here, put it down. You can see here I haven't cleaned my stencil very well from my last masking, but all will be well, I promise. You can see here just trying to make sure I mask off the sides of the cardstock and don't get any ink where I don't want it. Don't ask me. Don't let me tell you how that happened before. You don't want to spend all this time making your lovely card and then find that you've got smudged ink where you don't want it. It's a bit of a downer, but there you go. Now we're going with our second layer, again with just our blending brush, and I just have one blending brush like for yellows, one for oranges. Isn't that pretty? It's just so pretty. I love it. It's just so easy to create something beautiful with masks. I really love using masks. They're so easy to create with and give you such a beautiful finished product. So now we're going to move on to our leaves, and again same thing with our masking tape, putting it down on the edges where it could run over onto our cardstock. And we're going to go in with our lightest colour here, which is Pear Pizzazz. Unfortunately, again, another colour that's leaving our colour lines in the colour refresh. As you know, 11 colours have left our colour families in the colour refresh, and Pear Pizzazz unfortunately is one of them. And now we're going to go in with the last layer of our stencils, which is Old Olive. And this is again just the leaf, and this is just to darken it up a bit and give it some definition. So again, masking tape. Well, I call it masking tape, but it's actually post-it note tape. And you can see here, I just keep on reusing and reusing the same tape, and it works perfectly fine. And there again, just going in with our Old Olive. And there we have our beautiful stenciled image. Isn't that just so pretty? I really love it. It's just gorgeous. Now I'm going to go in with some very light colour here, So Saffron. I'm just going to sponge lightly, or ink lightly over our whole image. The flowers, the leaves, over everything. And this is just to get rid of that harsh white background. Otherwise I felt it was just too much of a contrast, too harsh, just the white against the colours. But this just helps to just soften it slightly, as you can see. Now I'm going to use the stamp set called Quiet Meadow, and I'm using this text stamp, and I'm just getting a block, and I'm just going to stamp off a little bit and then stamp off and stamp. And it's not meant to be perfect stamping, it's just meant to be a little something in the background to give a little bit of added interest And you can hear I stamp off every second time, so every time rather, so I'm doing second generation stamping. And you'll see in the photographs on my blog how this just makes a lovely difference. Just gives something extra in the background. So now we're going to be ready in a second. Whoops, getting the wrong ink pad out. To stamp our sentiment. And this one is from Biggest Wish. And we're going to be stamping the sentiment that says hello. So I'm just going to use my grid paper here to line everything up. And that works fine. But we always need a piece of cardstock to stamp on. So here you can see me fussing around trying to find a piece of scrap cardstock. And I'm going to be stamping this in my darkest colour, which I think was Mango Melody. And there we go, hello. And just going to tidy up a bit. And then we're going to cut this hello out using my trimmer. So get rid of that little bit, and you can just see I'm cutting quite close to the word, and I'm just doing it by eye using my trimmer here. And if I think I need a little bit more off, it's always easier to take off than to put back on, so I tend to do this, just go round again until I'm very happy. And there we go, there is our hello stamped and cut out. Now we are just gonna, you can see me again fussing with it. Sometimes I just don't know when to leave well alone. I'm sure you can relate to that. I can't be the only person who can just keep on fussing with something when it looks perfectly fine as it was. Okay, so I've got here some Mango Melody cardstock. I'm going to stick down my sentiment, and I'm just going to use this to create a mat, and I'm just going to cut it out using my scissors, the long blades making this process a little bit more easier than it otherwise would have been. So time to assemble our card. We've got a card base here. This is a standard A6 card base. That's an A4 sheet cut in half and then folded in half. And then for the insert I'm adding a piece of basic white that measures 14.35 centimeters by 10 centimeters. And you can see me here just using some seal to stick down my image on the front. And then here I've got my sentiment, and I'm just going to pop that up using 101 dimensionals. I don't want that thing to come off in the post, and I want it to stay nice and even, the dimension. I don't want it to sink in the middle. And now some finishing touches here. I'm going to use some iridescent rhinestones, and I'm putting them just in the flower centers, and where these little 3 dots are at the top and at the bottom. And because they're iridescent, they do allow the colour below to also shine through a little bit. So there we have our yellow and orange and our pink version. Which do you prefer? I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I'd be grateful if you could give it a thumbs up so YouTube know. And please don't forget to subscribe to future videos. You'll find all my links to social media and my blog in the description box below.